Hello, and welcome to FloridaMan40k. We are back for episode number 20, and we are here to talk about the Space Marine FAQ now that we have given it a little bit of time to sit, as well as talk about some of the events that we have coming up in the month of March. I have with me Daniel Smith.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
And Jimmy, much better at making nicknames than I am, Prescott.
My name is Jimmy Prescott.
Oh, yes, it is. All right, so we're going to be like everyone else and
What?
dive right in.
Yeah, let's dive right in.
Dive right in.
We're gonna be like everyone else and die.
All right.
Dive right in.
Eventually.
All right. Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Joke right there. All right.
Anyways, let me jump in because that was, I think, the biggest criticism I got last week is I jump in all the time. So I'm just starting out. Got to talk about these orc buggies. I screwed up last episode. I keep trying to say last week, but we suck and didn't record last week. So I said they stayed in units of 3. They don't. The speed mob rule, they break off into individual units, which I actually think makes them better because Death Skulls gives you the free reroll per unit. Well, now I have 9 units of 1 instead of 3 units of 3. I can get up to 27 free rerolls instead of 9 free rerolls. It makes it harder to stay in auras, things like that. But honestly, you're just trying to fly forward and shoot things. So unless you need a charge after advancing, I don't know if the auras are that important. So I like it more. And I got 9 buggies waiting to be built and painted. So, you know.
All right. So orc buggies are a little different. Gazcool is coming. But we haven't seen any rules as of. What's that?
So I like how you said that. Orc buggies, they're different. Anyways.
I mean, I don't think they're just not the coolest buggies in the game right now. We all know it's the Ridge Runner.
Well, yes, but I want to be like a sad secondary version of the Ridge Runner.
I mean, you're already a sad secondary version of me, but
Whoa.
what? All right, well, we're clearly not diving right in, so let's get into that one.
Yeah.
That's your fault. See, I got orcs to talk about. Gazgul, I guess the box set, there's talk that he's going to come with some mega knobs, which I love. I need 11 more. So, like, you know, I was excited about all that. And then you had to make it weird. Like, you went and made it weird.
I don't even know if they're doing a box set, to be honest. They might be doing a box set, but we're getting Ragnar, we're getting Gaz. Both models look cool, but we don't really know the rules. Other than that, Ragnar will have the Primaris keyword, so we can yeet him forward with an Impulsor. That's all we know.
Yep.
Impulsor yeeting is my favorite thing. So, Space Marines?
Space Marines.
I guess.
We skipped the whole part where everyone gets the Space Marine FAQ and does a hot take before any events come out. And we have instead come at you with cold takes after 2 weekends of Space Marine tournaments, as well as a little bit of playtesting with their rules. So, not really going to summarize the changes. You guys probably already know what they are. Cogitative Martyrdom got nerfed. Whatever the one that I was breaking, that one got nerfed. So, screw Iron Hands. I'm not going to play with them anymore. They're boring.
Let me clarify.
What do we think?
They're boring, but they're still very good. I've seen a lot of people with the clickbait titles that Iron Hands are dead. I think Stat Center they were making fun of that, talking about they're terrible now. I think they're still very good, and they're going to still be present in the meta, hitting top tables, hitting top 4s. But we're not going to see that 20% representation of the field averaged, what was it? I think round 3 was their average first loss, all that crap. I think we're going to see good players still play them, and then all the less good players hopping off of that bandwagon and onto the Grey Knights bandwagon. They're going to realize Grey Knights are hard to play and hop off of that bandwagon to whatever the Knights' hotness is.
So my prediction is that Iron Hands are going to pretty much completely disappear as a pure faction. At this point, it's basically Pharaohs and a Primaris Apothecary, and then as many bodies as you want to jam in. other than that, you can do it better with pretty much any other chapter. So like, hey, yeah, if you want to be like, if that's what you want, just be the toughest Space Marines possible, you can do that. But it's not the best way to play Space Marines. And I think that it's March now. I think that by the time we hit April, there will not be any good players playing Iron Hands anymore.
Not pure Iron.
Dynamic. It doesn't allow you to capitalize your skill. It's all of the cool parts of Iron Hands kind of went away. And by cool, I mean so broken you just laughed a little bit. I don't see a future with Iron Hands. Like, yeah, they're super durable. Maybe you take them so that you can make your Smash Captains last a little longer, your, Samuel and Talon Masters last a little longer because they've got great screens. They can be an ally still. I don't see a point in playing them pure. You're just playing big stupid Plague Bears with guns and hoping that your opponent didn't bring optimal guns to kill it, and if they did, well, your army's one-dimensional and you lose.
Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of what I was thinking. I didn't state it clearly, so thank you. I think there's going to be a single competitive pure Iron Hands build, and like you said, it's got a decent ceiling, but it's not going to be the best army in the game. I think as a durable base for an allied force, where you can use a character rule with character dreadnoughts, like you said, Smash Captains or Samael, any characters in the Imperium that want a durable screen, Iron Hands are your Plague Bearers. And then from there, you can outfit it however you want. You can put a freaking knight in there now. It doesn't matter. Like, staying pure Iron Hands, there's not much benefit, so you might as well soup, and they're a good screen for the soup.
Yeah. I think they'll definitely be souped. Marines in general will probably be souped a little more, but Marines are obviously still A tier. S tier is to be determined. I don't really know if I honestly might not put them at S tier right now, but Raven Guard probably keeps them at S tier.
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of Raven Guard talk because, like, okay, they were going to switch to Tactical Doctrine anyway. And you're thinking the Centurion with Sniper Scout build like Brad Chester took. And yeah, they took the slight Centurion nerf, but if you were going second, that doesn't change anything anyway. And it's only just if you go first, it's slightly less devastating. And most of the good Raven Guard players I saw were not game planning on that anyway because, at the time Seas existed. So now you're just adapting for, well, it could have been more devastating, but Seas is gone, but then you lose the Centurion Alpha Strike anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you weren't planning on trying to pull that off. So I don't think it affects much for the top end Raven Guard. Really, it's just turn 4, 5, 6. The Sniper Scouts are not going to continue to murder you, which I guess feels good.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. They're still going to be, I would say Raven Guard are going to stay pretty pure and pretty solid. Change the Centurion unit to an aggressor unit if you want to apply that turn 1 pressure. Or just don't worry about that, like you said, and just play all the other good stuff they have.
Yeah, they got plenty of options, really. So Space Marines are still awesome. I am absolutely going to take White Scars for a spin at some point. I still don't think that they're the best Space Marines, but they still are the most fun Space Marines. So I kind of like the 3 or 4 Impulsor build. I don't think you need any Chaplain Dreadnoughts with that. Just weight of Primaris bodies with Primaris characters and intercessors, I think is really good for White Scars. And it looks like a fun way to play. You've got your fast boxes flying forward with dudes, jumping out on turn 3. Gives me an excuse to take Reavers who can deep strike in turn 3 on, already in Assault Doctrine. So I'm a fan of White Scars right now because they took literally pure White Scars took literally no nerfs because you were already speeding into Assault Doctrine as fast as possible. And maybe you stay in Tactical an extra turn, but by turn 4, you're going to be in Assault Doctrine anyway if you're playing pure White Scars. So I'm all about that. That makes me very, very happy. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll probably be my side quest when I'm not playing with Mating Circle.
Yeah. For White Scars, you remember when the Marines first came out and you ran the Iron Hands White Scars successor list, do you think that list still has any legs? Obviously modified with Chaplain Dreads instead of multiple Mortis Dreads. But do you think that style of build still has legs, or do you just not think, as we've learned more about the Marines, that that's necessarily the optimal build?
Oh, I think it's actually still pretty good. I mean, like my SoCal build, it went from it's slightly less efficient because I stayed in dev a little longer. But really, it only had the one character, so that nerf doesn't matter. I only had one Chaplain Dread, and it was benefiting from Artisans, of course. I think the big thing is that the Thunderfire has kind of gone away as far as I'm concerned. I don't think Tremor Shells is as important with the armies that are currently on top, which are shooting armies and Guard and Tau and, Eldar. None of those armies actually care that much about Tremor Shells. Thunderfires do a lot less damage, so the primary benefit of having them isn't there anymore. I really think that you could take that old Marine build, White Scars souped with Iron Hands, drop all of the Thunderfires, and, put some kind of, one more type of threat in there. I don't know what it would be off the top of my head. Maybe a deep striking Van Vet unit, maybe a 3rd Centurion unit, and you kit them all with Hurricane Bolters. You got options.
I kind of like, because Thunderfires are about 92, 93 points, and Impulsors are around that same price point. You can tweak the list a little bit, put 2-3 Impulsors in there to apply pressure and orbital bombardment.
I'd be more than happy to jam more Impulsors into a list because I just love those models. The El Camino is I'm very fond of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely have options. Super Marines are real. Artisan Iron Hand attachments are totally still real, especially with character dreadnoughts. I've seen a lot of people talk about not taking character dreadnoughts anymore. Like, all the Marine lists I'm seeing don't have Chaplain dreadnoughts. And I'm really wondering why they went away, because I feel like, Imperial Fists took a nerf, Pure Iron Hands took a nerf. The general consensus is, a lot of the anti-vehicle in the game went down. And I feel like everyone's kind of preparing for a Horde meta, as if, las cannons won't be needed anymore. But I'm just thinking, if Eldar start going vehicle heavy, Guard just got to supplement their back. Tau, all right, las cannons literally don't matter there. Give you that one. But just in general, with Eldar and Guard, resurgent in the meta, especially Eldar, who are already in a great spot. They were just kind of being held back by the threat of, oops, Imperial Fist went first, it's over. I really feel like you're going to want your Chaplain Dread still. So I think you could absolutely make the case for a Soup Marine army. Just a couple character dreads with Artisans. You don't really need Dev Doctrine. Obviously, AP4 was great, but AP3, you can survive off of that, take a couple turns of high AP Bolters, and then roll into Assault Doctrine and see what happens.
Pretty much. Yeah, I think Siegler saying he would have taken the Chap Dreads out of his LVO list is probably a big contributor to why they're less popular.
Yeah, I think that's
great.
And in the context of that list, I agree, because that was a board control list. It didn't need to be doing the long range damage output, because if people were staying 48 inches away from you and trying to shoot you to death, they just statistically weren't doing it. So yeah, in that context, I get it. But if you're not going with Horde of Intercessors, and you're at a point where you can be shot to death by long range things, like if you're doing an Ultramarine list, I think you bring those character dreadnoughts right back in.
Absolutely, I agree. And I'm not, all I'm saying by that is people hear Richard say, oh, well, if I could do it over, and they're not taking it through the conversation you just had. They're just taking that face value. Oh, Siegler said Chaplain Dread's out, and that's as far as they go.
Yeah. No, I think 2 Chaplain Dreads is a good number. I don't think you need the full 3 because that is a little pricey, but 2 Chaplain Dreads is still pretty good odds of putting down a tank a turn. And if you're not, you're probably, degrading a tank a turn. Maybe finish it off with just random bolters or whatever whatever guns you kind of stuck in the list. So
Yeah,
I'm about that.
I would even say the primary reason that you weren't taking a Mortis Dread quad labs was because you were making the Leviathan your character. But without the abuse of 10 plus wound character dreads, you can just make a Mortis Dread a quad Mortis character again, and then bring one chaplain. You have the same number of las cannons. You do lose out on litanies, but you save about 180, 190 points doing it that way, and keep the same las cannon.
Yeah.
So,
and you could totally put a regular chaplain back in the list. I do really like the one Faith and Fury chaplain to get the reroll canticles or chance, whatever they're called. So Space Marines are still awesome. I think also sneaky pick here. I think salamanders will actually become big in the meta. Salamanders did not take any real nerfs from this wave of FAQs. The new ITC missions prioritize get in the middle and dance a lot more. So maybe salamanders will be able to get a lot more get like into range a lot easier, because now people are trying to run up their secondaries early. They're trying to get the bonus points. If the salamanders just take the middle of the board, maybe they're getting bonus points and they're scoring higher than they were before. Because when salamanders walk forward with flamers, everyone gets out of the way. That's just how it works. Like, you get out of the way.
Especially if we do shift to horde, is there a better anti-horde than salamanders?
Oh no, I don't think there is. Salamanders are so good.
Maybe a specialized Tau list, but then that Tau list wouldn't be good into other stuff. Like salamanders, I think, has the potential to be the best well-rounded anti-horde army.
Mm-hmm. And it's really worth pointing out, that ignore AP1 is just, with doctrines gone, if the AP in the game is going down a little bit, that's fantastic. You talk about like your standard Marines with like Primaris Marines with regular bolt rifles, which is kind of what everyone thinks will be the generic, the standard over the Stalker now that you're taking heavy penalty. Turn 1, your AP1, and the Salamanders ignore that. Turn 2 and 3 are AP2, are you affect them like normal Marines. If they make it to turn 4, not only are they ignoring the AP of your guns, you're an assault doctrine, you're all AP1 in melee, and then the Salamanders just flat out ignore that. You don't get any benefit. So, 4 out of 6 turns, the Salamanders are getting their full saves against the staple Marine unit. And I do expect Marines to still be fairly popular. They're in a good enough spot. Everyone owns a Marine army. They're in a good enough spot that people will be playing them. Salamanders will be a little tougher because there's just not as much AP2 and 3 floating around. And I think the mission set will favor getting up close and personal with your opponent and having a list that your opponent does not want to get close to, aka Salamanders, White Scars. No one really wants to be dancing in the 12-inch range with those guys.
Exactly.
So I'm probably going to play White Scars and throw an experimental game with Salamanders in there just to kind of see what happens. I'm not really expecting much, but I really like their named character. Mostly I like that both of those chapters have a named character who's a 6-inch aura of +1 to wound, and both of those guys can impulsor hop. Because I don't really like characters that I can't eat out of an impulsor at this point. I really like impulsors.
Yeah, and one thing that I don't think gets enough attention is how important wound efficiency can be. Because you've got chapter master now, so pretty much in a Marine army, if you're shooting, you're going to hit a lot. But getting wound efficiency, where you can get a +1 to wound, you can reroll 1 to wound from the lieutenant. So many things just rely on having a higher toughness than your guns, and when you start to mitigate that, it's amazing how much better your army gets. It's such a more noticeable force multiplier than hit modifiers.
Yeah, definitely with you on that. But not only can they get the +1 to wound with flame or melt weapons like in Tact Doctrine, Salamanders have Veterans of the Long War. They call it something else, being angry about the Forge or the Fire or Volcanoes or something. But they basically get 1 command point +1 to wound. Incredibly powerful on a unit. Again, like aggressors. I'll go back to that point. they've got a lot of cool stuff. Like everyone wants to make salamanders work. It was just a question of, I don't know if that's, it's really going to get in range. I don't know if it's actually going to work. I'm just going to get shot at from, 36 inches away and not interact with them. Well, the new ITC missions might have taken care of that. And that's not like a rule shift as much as it could be a mission design shift where everyone else is going to start bringing lists that are getting into the center. Cause like I brought Kraken Gene Stealers, like, if I play against salamanders, like what am I going to do? Just sit my Kraken Gene Stealers 36 inches away for 5 turns? Like at some point I'm coming in the middle, and at some point I'm going to get hit by flamers and lose the entire squad. It's just, can I make an efficient trade of that unit before they all evaporate?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I thought something and I lost my train of thought. So continue and ignore that little awkward interaction.
All right. Well, look, we will not cut that out later. We're going to let everyone relish in how awkward you are. Yeah, that's about all I had on Marines. I think Imperial Fists are dead. And by dead, I mean people will still play them. I don't think good players will play them ever again, because you get one turn of being really cool, and after that, you're just worse than every other Marine faction. You ignore cover and exploding sixes is great, but Imperial Fists don't have warlord traits that matter for multiple turns. Like if they get a CP buff at the beginning, cool. They don't have stratagems that anyone cares about. Like, I'm sorry. You can 2 command point plus 1 to wound against vehicles. Other than that, no one cares about Imperial Fist stratagems, like, because they all require you to like not move, and then you get +1 to your save. And just the way the ITC missions are working right now, that's just not viable. Like not moving while also being a good but not great shooting army. Like, what's the fucking point? So I think Imperial Fists are literally dead.
Until fortification.
I legitimately think Imperial Fists are the worst of the 6. The worst of the 6 chapters right now. And like you get your turn 1 Devastator Doctrine, and I've seen a lot of people say like, oh, I'm just going to play Imperial Fists and I'm still going to table 4 out of 6 opponents, like turn 1 anyway. And that's true. Like you look at the Manny Chima build, which yes, turn 1, that army has not changed a single bit. And yeah, he did table like, I think he tabled like 3 opponents on turn 1, or got so close that it just didn't matter. And that's awesome, but you're going to run into those armies that can reserve their vehicles. And like that's a thing. Like what if you play against Eldar and the Eldar player, like, all right, they lose the roll off. The Imperial Fist player's like, that's fantastic. I'm going first. They watch you deploy it. They say, okay, this is the range of your guns. All the vehicles that fit out of range are going on the table. I can't fit the rest. We're going to pay command points and deep strike them. They come in turn 2. You're out of Dev Doctrine. You're shooting them with damage 1 Thunderfire cannons. Like that's the plan. You can still wreck people. They have some raw power. There's just literally no flexibility to it, and you can't maintain that all game, which means good players who come in with a plan they'll just play around it, and you don't have the space as a player to do anything about it. It's room to outplay is a big thing. And if you're not going to have room to outplay, you need to be the biggest kid in the sandbox. And if Imperial Fists are not literally the most powerful thing in the game, and they have no room to outplay someone, then they're just not a good army. Like, people will win with them. I'm sure people go 3-2, 4-1 of them. It's just, you need incredible luck to 5-0, 6-0 and beyond. I just don't see it for Imperial Fist. I don't think any good player is going to be willing to take that kind of army to a tournament. Maybe a team tournament where you can like pair yourself into Imperial Guard, where it's like, oops, your vehicles don't go into reserves because you're not Talon and they're all dead. I don't think Fists are going anywhere at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's my Marine rant. I think that covers everything. A lot of people have said Ultramarines are going to be great, and I'm sorry I cut you off, Dan. I just realized I did that. I'm not familiar enough with Ultramarines to really say that I love them, but I remember liking them 6 months ago, and then Iron Hands came out and I kind of forgot about them. So I'm going to have to go reread Ultramarines and see if that's something I would want to pursue.
Yeah, hopefully not, because they're all Smurfs, and you know how we feel about Smurfs.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, who are Smurfs?
It's like Ultramarines, because they're blue.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
that went
it's almost as
right
bad.
over.
Yeah, that's okay. I remembered what I was going to say earlier when I had my awkward moment, so I'm going to jump in on that now. And what I was going to say is, in regard to salamanders, chaos has been relevant since they got their codex, and a large reason for that is Veterans of the Long War. Like, no matter what, you can find a scenario where that stratagem just makes you better, and salamanders can do that in different ways. So it's just a matter of finding the best fit for that style of strategy in a Marine army. But that is such a powerful buff that I'm sure we're going to see that salamanders get more play now that people have to think instead of monkey brain Iron Hand.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all.
Yeah,
that's all.
I think monkey brain Marines are gone, which I think is really the best part. Like,
yeah,
I can still see a good player doing extremely well with Marines. Like, Marines will still win GTs and majors. Like, I'd be willing to. Well, I have no idea what edition we'll be playing, but like, you know, if someone said, yeah, there's going to be a Marine player top 8 of BAO, like, totally makes sense. Probably, maybe even 2. But they're just, I'm not, you know, no one's predicting 5 anymore.
Yeah. I'm honestly looking at my shelf of 3 flyers, Repulsor Executioner, and Leviathan, and I'm happy that they're staying there for a little while. So,
well, I hope Iron Hands go away forever because they were boring and I don't like them. Even though I helped break them.
So, I will clarify. I absolutely loved playing my Repulsor flyer list. It was a ton of fun. It was insanely strong. If I ran into Imperial Fists, I exploded and died. Like, that was a fun army. All the other crap, not so much.
Yeah, I do think, for the record, that I do think that the Iron Hand Repulsor might actually get a little play, because again, I can see those Eldar vehicle armies getting a little more bold, and a lot of those are a lot of damage to guns. Like, vibro cannons and night spinners seem to be the most popular thing, and then some people are supplementing with spears. That's in an army that is literally made out of damage too.
Yeah. Well, and I was just thinking, the list that I brought to Coastal Assault, the flyers were the weak link of that army. And now I have no incentive to stay pure, so I can drop that air wing and bring a better Marine detachment, like a Blood Angel Supreme Command or similar Deathwing Knights maybe. I can essentially bring that same Iron Hands fire base, make it even more durable with the new Apothecary. I say new, it's not new anymore, but it was new since that list was ran. But you can build the same fire base, soup in some other Marines to shore up your weaknesses, and honestly, I think that's a better list now than when I took it to Coastal Assault.
And let's also point out that Iron Hands have a 1 command point count a unit as being in Dev Doctrine. So you can take one thing like a Repulsor Executioner, and that one thing will be in Dev Doctrine for as long as you've got command points.
Yeah, which is
you want
Repulsor, ignore heavy, big AP.
Yeah. I think the Repulsor already ignores heavy, but still, you get your reroll 1s. Pharos is awesome, so you can easily take that Ballistic Skill 2 guy and just, you know, always hit all the time. So I don't see any. I could absolutely see one Repulsor Executioner fitting quite well into that body list. I could see it working quite well. But yeah, we'll kind of see how that evolves. I expect we'll see Space Marines hanging out for a while, but just not as dominant. We just got to worry about our new Eldar Overlords.
Yeah, that's the
on
one.
Space Marines.
I'm not looking forward to the Eldar meta.
Oh God, no.
I hate Eldar.
Oh, we all do.
Yeah.
Even Dan
right.
Monsov, who's currently sitting in the bag, 40 cucking.
Yes, everyone hates Eldar. All right.
Mr. Monsov, do you have something to say about that?
He has nothing to say because he's playing some Iron Hands, right, Dan?
Yeah, currently playing a little bit of Iron Hands, but yeah, I'm excited that Eldar is gonna. I'll be able to bring out a little more Eldar. You know.
Dan, you're an Iron Hands player. Stop saying that.
Well, that's true. I'm both.
Okay, I'll accept that.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do we got next? Jimmy. Go ahead.
No, I was about to transition, but you're right. We do have some Jimmy shout-outs. So let's hear some Jimmy shout-outs, Jimmy.
Well, a single shout out. So I was, talking to the rest of the group here recently regarding our viewership statistics and, on our apps and all that we use to stream the podcast out into the world, it shows where downloads are coming from. And one of our download locations is a place called the Isle of Man, and that just sounded pretty neat. I'd never heard of it before. So I looked it up. We had 55 views in the past month, or downloads rather, from the Isle of Man, which doesn't sound like a lot, until you find out that, and I did a little bit more research than I should have probably, just because I thought it was entertaining, but they have a population of 84,000 people. So if you divide 55 downloads by 84,000 people, that is 0.065% of the total population. And then you look at our largest demographic, of course, the United States. We had like 2,100, 2,200 downloads, but between the like 330 million people that live in the United States, it was 0.00067. Hold on, 0.00067% of the total population. So what that means is, although it is smaller downloads and smaller population, that is the most concentrated viewership per person in the Isle of Man. So Isle of Man is the area with our greatest fans, if you break it down in that way.
I'm all about it. I want them to get towards 1% of the population. Like,
the Isle of Man just becomes the Warhammer concentrated place of the world.
That would just feel so good if it was just like there's an actual a number and then the decimal point percentage of this population listens to us.
Yeah. So of course, since I had never heard of the Isle of Man, I feel like several other people also have not. Unless I'm just really dumb. But let me go ahead and give some details. So the Isle of Man is a self-governing British Crown dependency in the Irish Sea between England and Ireland. It's known for its rugged coastline, medieval castles, and rural landscape, rising to a mountainous center. In the capital, Douglas, the Manx Museum traces the island's Celtic and Viking heritage. So it's apparently also a location for a major annual cross-country motorcycle race around the island, which sounds super exciting. And then their flag is red and has three, it's not gory or anything, but basically three disembodied legs in the center, kind of forming a little spiral. So go ahead and check out the Isle of Man.
The legs from a suit of armor, because they're just the metal of an armor.
Disembodied sounds better. But yes, disembodied suit of armor legs.
Yeah.
So thank you, Isle of Man and women, all of you over there listening to our 40K podcast. Of course, it could just be one guy just hitting download repeatedly, but we appreciate you. Thank you for your service.
Well, I think doesn't the data say unique downloads? So unless my guy's got 55 computers and phones, and he's just running around downloading them all with different IP addresses, which might be the case.
There's definitely, whatever it is, it's a unique operation going on over there. Unless they've got just 70 tables set up in some person's warehouse. I have no idea what the Warhammer community is like on that island.
We have one very dedicated and very unique listener.
Yeah, one thing that I thought as well is a lot of people thought that the Isle of Man just seemed like a cool sounding place in Europe. So they may have VPNs that are set there so they can get international Netflix. So all of their downloads look like they're coming from the Isle of Man. That's what I figured. If somebody's going through a VPN list and they're like, Isle of Man, that sounds cool as fuck. And then they just choose that. And then it looks like we have a high demographic when actually this guy's over in Alabama somewhere. But who knows?
All right.
But yeah, let's sorry, go ahead.
I just think it's ironic that we mentioned Alabama.
Mm-hmm. There's a reason it's on my mind. Dan, as the ambassador to Alabama, did you want to go ahead and throw out some words?
Well, I did until I got the title Ambassador of Alabama.
Ambassador to Alabama.
I must end my bloodline with.
With what?
Anyways, the bloodline ends with me. That's what I.
Oh, okay, gotcha. But you also have to present this entire thing in what you think an Alabama accent sounds like.
No.
No, we're not doing that.
Dang it.
Sorry, Jim. All right, so essentially, 2 weeks ago, I was like, oh crap, I didn't sign up for this GT in Alabama called Visions of the Grimdark. I went to it last year. It was a good time. It's where I played John Moore from the Fog of War. I kept trying to say Art of War. The Fog of War podcast. I apologize, John. John's a great guy, and we added him to Brohammer shortly after that event because I had such a good game and such a good time with him, and he's, again, a great guy. So I decided I needed to go back, but the problem was the tournament was full. So I got on the wait list. As they do, someone dropped, I got on, and I decided that I am going to take Grey Knight to Visions of the Grimdark. There's exactly one problem with that. I didn't own a Grey Knight's army. I had 2 weeks from getting signed up to having a fully painted 2,000-point Grey Knight army. So, huge shout out to my guy, Brenton. His blog is Bro in the North. You can find him on Facebook. He recently opened a gaming store up north in... I didn't look it up. I'm going to ruin it. Michigan. Thank you.
Michigan.
I don't know why. I was going to say Wisconsin, but I was like, no, Wisconsin doesn't start with an M. So, yes, Michigan. My bro, Brenton, in Michigan, opened the gaming store, hits me up. He says, hey, bro, I'm making my first order. Is there anything you need? I was like, well, Grey Knights are out of stock, but if there's a way that you can order Grey Knights, I need them. So he hits me up like 2 days later. He's like, all right, send me your list. I got the whole army coming your way. They're just like, wait, what? So Brenton gets this entire army ordered and sent to me. I literally have it on my doorstep 6 days after we start talking. Well, it's still just out of stock everywhere. Can't find it on eBay. Can't find it on Amazon. Literally nothing. And Brenton's just like, here, bro, have an army. So it arrives Saturday while Lennon and I are doing a practice game for Adepticon. And, they just show up. So I'm like, okay, well, practice game's done. I got annihilated. Let's build some Grey Knights. So basically, starting Saturday, I built, primed, and painted 2,000 points of Grey Knights, and I finished Monday at 8 o'clock. So essentially, in less than 72 hours, I built and painted an entire Grey Knights army for this weekend, and I wouldn't have been able to do that without Brenton hooking us up. So yeah. Also, Visions of the Grimdark, awesome GT, and I will hopefully be able to give an awesome recap after we get back from the event.
So this awesome army, 2,000 points in 3 days, what is actually in the army?
All right. So essentially, because it's the Brohammer way, you don't ever just take one of something. So I have 2 Paladin squads. I have Voldus and a Librarian, which counts as 2 Librarians. I have a Brother Captain, which is just 1, so I already broke the rule. Anyways, and then I have like 3 Chaplains, 2 Apothecaries, some other good stuff. 8 characters, 2 Paladin squads, and 3 Strike squads. That's it. That's the army.
Still, 2 Paladins is pretty nasty.
Yeah, but when I say it like that, I realize I have... 4 targetable units and 8 characters. 5
targetable units.
3 strike squads. I'm already forgetting stuff. It's gonna be a bad weekend. Yeah, so 5 targetable units total. That's it.
Well, you've got a long drive up there, so I expect you to be reviewing all your rules on the drive, so you don't forget anything. So
I guarantee.
we all forget stuff, but yeah, we've got a couple bros going up there. I know you and Will Taylor are driving up. So hopefully, maybe one of you guys win it. We'll have Will on if he does well. Kind of talk about some of the towel tricks that actually get put into practice would be cool.
No pressure, Will, because surely you're listening to this.
No pressure, Will. You damn better do well. Do a scribe, buddy.
You're only allowed on if you do well. 4-1 or better.
Absolutely. 3-2 is unacceptable. Dishonor upon the team. I'm also going to a tournament
this weekend. It's gonna be terrible.
Oh. Damn it, Daniel! Don't say those words. You're gonna do well.
I should. I'm cautiously optimistic. Enough about me. Let's talk about other people.
Okay. I also have a tournament this weekend. Unfortunately, I'm still on the wait list for Visions of the Grimdark because I, like Dan, also procrastinated a lot. So unfortunately, I will not be able to defend my title. We'll get a new winner there, but I will be going to a probably RTT, maybe GT Ironman this weekend. It's actually going to be pretty top level competition. It looks like Siegler is going to be the TO, which is just a hilarious thing, I think. But probably going to be myself, Nick Nanavati, Ruben Fernandez, Richard Martin, a bunch of other guys on Brohammer. 5 games in one day. I see no way that this could go wrong. I'm still rocking the Ridge Runner Madness. I'm going to make some tweaks. Dropping. So, let's talk about this. So I'm going to YOLO Adepticon. Since I was really not planning on going because I wasn't a fan of anything that the event does. However, it is a super major, and an opportunity kind of fell into my lap where I was offered a ticket for free. So that's always pretty dope. And then I just so happened to check plane ticket prices, and it turns out that was very inexpensive. Some of the virus fears going around the nation right now have a lot of people not traveling, and airlines still want money. So I got a plane ticket to Adepticon from Tampa for less than $100 round trip. So less than $100 round trip. Haven't looked at a hotel yet, but get to me to and from Adepticon playing in tournaments.
Isn't our one of our teammates, Mr. Jim Vessel? I believe he said he had an open spot in his hotel.
Well, all right then. I'm gonna go message Jim, and maybe that'll take care of that situation.
Also, is that like low ticket price potentially due to the coronavirus? Because I've heard that travel is extraordinarily inexpensive right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You might play a 40K tournament. You might be quarantined. You're young. You'll be fine.
Yeah, one way or another, it'll be fun. Either I miss work for 2 weeks or I go play 40K. Either way, I'm good.
I do want to say we joke and make light of the situation, but if anyone is negatively impacted by that,
wash your hands.
Yes, we joke about everything. We mean no offense.
Hey, no, wash your hands with soap. It needs to be about 20 seconds, so just sing Power Gaming Buttholes to yourself while you do it. That should be enough time.
That's actually a 33-second song, so you're getting 50% extra clean.
Sing faster. Dry your hands. I don't know. You can dry your hands. Don't be that weird guy that wipes them on their pants. Well, anyway, I'm going to Adepticon. You guys are trying to sidetrack me. I'm going to Adepticon. So I'm going to switch up some things. Content. Shut up. I'm going to switch up some things on my list. I'm dropping the Hive Guard because Adepticon is player-placed range, so there's a very real threat that I could end up in a deployment zone that doesn't have a large line of sight blocker in the front. So let's say they throw all the line of sight blockers in the back of the board, then, the Hive Guard go there, they're out of range, or they stand in the middle to get shot. So I don't really want that. So I'm taking Exocrines as they feel a little bit safer, and they're pretty inexpensive, and I also just love the Exocrine. So I'm going to take that this weekend, even though it's probably worse in an ITC format, just to get some more practice with the units. So I might lose a game because someone hides behind a wall and I literally can't interact with them. But that probably won't happen in Adepticon based on what I've seen of the terrain there. So it'll be good practice either way. But very excited for that. Very excited for Adepticon.
Even when, our practice game, I did get that piece of terrain and literally put my entire army behind it, and it didn't matter.
Yeah, the Adepticon format is very, very cute in that it favors holding objectives a lot. So as long as I have line of sight to the objectives with the Exocrines, I think I'll be fine. I just need to body them out. So I'm still tweaking the list. That might involve some Acolyte hybrids, might involve Kraken Gene Stealers. We're figuring that out still. I'm probably going to play test the Acolytes this weekend, and we'll see if that's actually a thing that's worth doing, and we'll kind of roll from there.
Yeah.
I've had the army for a while. It's still in stock. Painted it slowly over the course of several years. But yeah, other than that, I'm special. But Adepticon, I'm actually very excited for, mostly because I was kind of getting that itch of, I don't have a tournament for a while. So even though I was maybe planning on not doing Adepticon, I'm very glad now that I will have the opportunity to go. I think it'll be very fun, and I'll get to see some, meet some new people, see some old friends. It's hard to go wrong when you're traveling to play 40K.
Exactly.
Next year we should all go together.
Maybe. There's always ATC. There's a lot of tournaments.
Yeah.
We'll see how I enjoy Adepticon, but I've heard good things about the convention and the event, so I'm very excited for that. You always rag on things that aren't ATC because I don't like making changes, but also it has been kind of nice game planning for a different mission because it's going to let me play a different play style than normal. I'm not going to be as worried about all the kill counts and stuff. Really though, I should be audibling to play Farside Enclaves. I like melee. I hate Tau, so I'm not sure how I feel about melee Tau. Because Farside Enclaves are a melee army. Don't tell me different. We'll see how it all goes, but I am overall excited.
I'm excited for your first game where you just line up against 18 mech guns and you're just like, well, how do I get through the 400 grots to touch those mech guns?
Child's play. You'll find out soon.
I know.
Do you have a specific plan for this?
He does. But that's been, since the orcs got their codex, that's kind of been like the running joke for missions that don't care about number of kills.
Yeah, and
400 grots and 18 mech guns just exists in those metas.
While that's cool, the problem is player placed terrain. If I just get to place the first piece, I put one giant ass foam hill in the middle of the table. Well, the mech guns move 3 inches a turn and they're slow. Like, he's never going to see me with 18 of them. He'll see me with 6 at a time. So I'm just going to shoot those 6. And then the other 12 will move and take a heavy penalty on the 6 that can actually see. And then nothing will actually happen. And then I'm just going to drown in grots because no one can kill 400 fucking grots in time. Screw you, Steve Famprine. So yeah. We'll see. It'll be interesting because the meta is wide open right now. So you're walking into an event with a different mission format. So nothing that you've seen in ITC is going to fully prepare you. And then also it's on the heels of a recent nerf, as well as some recent rules releases. Like, we haven't really seen a super major with Grey Knights or Thousand Suns involved. We haven't seen a super major with Farside Enclaves or Imperial Guard involved yet. So like, there could be some really new good stuff that that I'm not actually aware of. So it's very challenging to write lists with that in mind, but it's kind of fun. It's kind of refreshing. And it also means I can just take my bugs and be like, screw it. There is no one best list to take. So I'm just going to take what I'm comfortable with, what I'm familiar with, what I normally do pretty well with. And we'll see. I'm going to try to top 8. I'm not going to come in with illusions of grandeur and thinking I'm going to win it when I have not played too many Adepticon games. We'll see if I can fix that before the event. But it should be fun either way. I am really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it'll be super cool. I unfortunately, it wasn't in the cards for me. I think the super major I have confirmed right now is Nova. But
did you get your ticket for that? I know they sold out.
Yeah, I got my ticket because you messaged me and you were like, "Hey, by the way, there's only 60 left," and I was like, "What?" And you're like, "Yeah, there's only 30 left," and I was like, "What?" So
gotta go fast.
I'm excited about that.
You'll love Nova.
Yeah, and I'm a native of the DMV, so just getting to kind of see some of the old sites will be neat.
Of the DMV?
District, Maryland, and Virginia.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So
just calling it Nova isn't easy enough.
Yeah, exactly. So, through all that, I had 2 realizations, and one is that Jimmy brought up ATC, and none of us are on the same ATC team this year, and it makes me sad.
Oh. Well, I'm on the same team as last year, so I'm happy. Spoiler alert:
Yeah, I
the
know.
Florida Men are coming back, probably with a new name, but it'll be the same 5 guys.
Yeah. I have not. No, I've been to ATC with one of my teammates before, and he is currently 40 cucking the podcast. Uh,
Yeah.
But I got 3 new teammates. I'm excited though, because honestly, if I was going to line up against any of them at a tournament, I would think I'm going to get my butt kicked. So that's a good place to be. It means I'm the weak link. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes me feel good. I'll eat a crap matchup for the team and let them do all the hard work.
We're gonna have to have like a pure ATC focused episode at some point. Like where we just talk about like
more.
that.
Go ahead. I was going to say possibly more because ATC has a lot to unpack. Like there's so many layers to that event.
Yeah, we could even do like a double header or something. But just talking about team events in general, I mean, you know, that's a topic that, you know, you see it bounced around, but you know, a lot of people don't get to play in true team tournaments. A doubles does not count. Yeah, if you don't get to, because I only know about a couple in North America. I don't know what I'm sure there's more in Europe because they've got the WTC, but I mean, really it's ATC, the Canhammer team tournament. There's a team tournament in New York, the Battle for Salvation Northeast team tournament, and there's one in California whose name I'm kind of blanking on right now.
Yeah.
But ATC is definitely the granddaddy of them all in North America. So I just think we should do an episode on that. We'll get there probably pretty soon, I imagine. Maybe after Adepticon or sometime in the lead up.
Yeah. So 2 things. One off of that, and then the other point I was going to bring up before. Off of that, I think currently the way that ITC points work is actually really prohibitive to team tournaments because there is an emphasis on personal score, how well you can do, and I think that needs to be ironed out, and then team tournaments have potential to become more popular. They're my favorite way to play 40K.
100%.
My other point that I was going to bring up earlier is last year, Siegler YOLO'd Nova, and that's what kickstarted him to having that amazing season. So I'm hoping you do the same, YOLO Adepticon, and just ride off into the sunset. That's my hope.
I actually have a completely different prediction, and that is that coronavirus is going to shut down school, and Siegler is going to just YOLO Adepticon, and he will take all of my thunder. So Siegler cannot go to Adepticon. He's not registered. He doesn't have a ticket. He doesn't have a plane ticket. He doesn't have a hotel. Literally nothing. He hasn't even read the mission pack. He probably has, but like he's not really like preparing to go to Adepticon himself. I just have this fear. I really do. Like Nova, like my army I had my whole no Richard Siegler going to be there army packed for Nova. It was in my car. I was at work. I was going straight to the airport. I found out Richard Siegler was going. I'm like, oh, like, dang it. Like, if I'd known there's going to be a good Tau player, I might have done something different, you know, brought my Russes instead. Well, like, all right, what's the worst thing that can happen? I get my ass kicked by Siegler so hard that I drop Gene Circle for 5 months. That's the worst thing that can happen, it turns out. So I think it's going to happen again. Siegler's going to come take over Adepticon and win it all, and I'm going to switch over from the Buggies to White Scars.
Yeah, that might just happen.
That's my defense mechanism. All right. Well, that's all I had. So is that it for the evening? Do you boys have anything else?
I'm sure we can find something to ramble on and just talk crap about for the next 45 minutes. Do we need to fill? What's our timestamp?
Currently, 54 minutes and 8 seconds.
That feels pretty healthy. I don't think we need to draw it out for the sake of drawing it out.
I can talk about orcs. I'm excited about orcs.
I feel like that'll be better served in an episode where we have rules for them. The Gazcool model is awesome, and no one will use him if his rules are bad. And that's
if he's 10 wounds or more, he will never see the table.
Abaddon, like a badass model like that I saw and I loved. And then they're like, all right, well, he's a 240 point chapter master. And like, that's cool, but that's just not really what Chaos needs.
Yeah.
So,
play.
It's all in the name, because
Abaddon is a bad one, so he can't be good. But Gaz Cool is just cool, so he's got to be good.
Well, he's also
that's how they write the rules.
He's also freaking cool. We're gonna have to have a fluff episode at one point, just so I can school Dan's uneducated ass about it. I just love the fact that Gazcool gets his head chopped off, and he's still kicking.
Well, okay, I've actually read maybe like 3 pages of orc lore, and he's even bigger now, which means he's even better now. So that's all I need to know.
That's actually science, so I'll give you that one. That is science.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's about all I had.
I'm good. Cool.
All right, Case. Thank you for checking in. Continue to do the things that YouTubers tell you to do. Like, subscribe, smash that like button.
Dang it, I was going to say that. You took it from me.
No. Apparently don't know which streaming websites we're on, so I'm going to let Jimmy tell me that one. Jimmy, where should they find our podcast if they're not listening to it right now?
Hey, there are several places.
Thanks, Jimmy.
What? So I know
I use Spotify. That's the one that I can find it on the easiest. That I don't have to have the window open like YouTube. So I'm all about that Spotify life. Now I do have a Spotify subscription. I don't know if that makes it easier for me or if you guys can find it too. But that's my go-to. That's one I would recommend.
Yeah. So there are user agent downloads on the little thingy that we posted on, and Spotify is actually one of the top ones, but also, of course, YouTube. We've been saying that ever since. Castbox, I know, is a pretty popular one. It's on iTunes, Google Podcasts for Android. Apparently, it's on Apple Core Media. I don't know what... Like, I don't have an iPhone, and I don't really know how they work, so I know there was somebody in our team chat that was mentioning not being able to get it on iPhone. I have no idea why or how to test it, so I can't really help with that part.
Maybe we'll have to do that with another person, so I have an iPhone you can use.
Okay.
Oh, cool. I did just find it. I found it on Google Play. You have to do FloridaMan40k, all one word. If you put spaces, then it'll give you some video about Bruce Lee.
Oh, good.
So whatever that's about, yeah. So FloridaMan40k, no spaces. You'll find it on Google Play.
Yeah.
When in doubt, we are on Facebook.
True. And maybe we could just like link the sources on Facebook. That way it's like easy access. If somebody can't find it, we could just be like, hey.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's it for the night. So thanks for listening.
Have a wonderful night.
And we'll talk to y'all later.
Yeah, bye.
See you.